Please put your hands together for Diane, everyone.
I lost my career and my mind in one lousy moment. March 13th, 2002, 6:55 a.m. to be exact. I was getting ready to go to school when my husband thought he heard a bureau fall over. But unfortunately, it was me. I was on the doctor's scale. I fell off. I was unconscious, cracked my head on the bathtub. And when I got up, we realized that there was way more than a knot on my head. Words didn't make sense, and I couldn't put words together very well, and my balance was terrible. From that moment on, I've had a traumatic brain injury, and it ended my teaching career immediately, and it changed me. After I got home from the hospital, I went to my sunroom, and I deemed my green sofa my safe spot, and I did not want to leave there. When people came to see me, I said, "What day is it?" Thinking that somehow, if I could hold on to the day, that everything else would fall into place. But it didn't. I sat there and I thought my muddled thoughts. Pretty soon, the home nurses decided that I needed to go to Bryn Mawr Rehab as an outpatient. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to leave my safe spot. I didn't want to talk to people because it was way too hard to put the words together, and I didn't always understand what they were telling me, and I didn't want people telling me what to do. And I behaved very badly. They asked me to get on a stationary bike, and it was way too hard, and I just put my head down and cried. They put me in a harness and put me in this room where I was supposed to push the button that lit up. And by the time I got to the stupid light, another one had lit up, and I just hung there in my harness and quit. One day, I even threw plastic flowers at the occupational therapist. I hate plastic flowers. And my impulse control was almost nothing. I had cognitive, occupational, and physical therapy. One day, they took me in a kitchen and they told me to cook an egg. Well, I was supposed to fry it, and I was at the stage where I still couldn't remember if breakfast came before or after lunch. And the lady had this clipboard, and she was just standing there, and there was no egg or fry pan, so I just looked at her, and she said, "You taught my daughter." And I thought, I've got to do better than this. So I tried really hard. And she said, in a patient voice, but I thought it was condescending, "Don't you think you should look for the fry pan?" It was all I could do not to envision myself bopping her on the head with a fry pan if I ever did find it. But I found it, and I got the egg, and I put it in the fry pan, in the shell, and I looked at her and I knew something was not too good. So I said, "I don't want to fry your stupid egg anyway. Fry your own egg. You could have asked me to boil an egg. Maybe I could have done that." And she said, "Well, what are you going to do when you go home and your husband asks you to fry him an egg?" I said, "I'll tell him to fry his own damn egg." And she wrote something on her clipboard. And John and I got called to my case manager the next day. And about 6 months later, my insurance said, "You're done." And I didn't meet most of their benchmarks, and nobody was really sorry to see me go. But when I got home, I realized that I couldn't just sit on the green sofa. I had been a teacher, and I needed to set goals for myself. So I set weekly goals. And at first, it was just walk out to the mailbox and bring the mail in for a week. And then they got as hard as go back into my school where I taught and tell the children why I can't be a teacher anymore. But anyway, in 2013, January of 2013, I set my very hardest goal. I had read online about Westchester Story Slam, and I said, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna stand up at that mic and I'm going to tell a story. The few friends who I told thought that I was absolutely setting myself up for failure. My memory lapses were legendary. I would say things like, what is that container called that the man comes and he puts bills in it? Diane, it's a mailbox. He's a mailman. It took me 6 months to get here, but in July of 2013, I stood up at this mic and I told a story about my husband snoring. When I look back at YouTube, I see my fear. I see the pause where I have no idea where my story's gonna go. I see the bags under my eyes from all the nights of not sleeping. But I also see me thumbing my nose at my loss and digging deep to find courage. And I only meant to come once and to check it off my list. But I keep coming because of your warmth and your kindness. Your smiles and your kind words mean more than you will ever know. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Diane, everybody.